All the major NBA offseason moves are done after Lauri Markkanen went to the Cavs. Yes, that means I'm admitting Damian Lillard won't be traded before the next season. That is still coming though.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
But at this point, what were the best deals in free agency? Not all of them are going to change the league. Some, though, deserve props for being so one-sided, it's obvious who won the deal. And no, if a team overpaid for a player like DeMar DeRozan, that doesn't count, okay? You don't have to be like a real smart front office to just throw like a bunch of picks and players and money at a guy. That's dumb. I want to shout out the 10 smartest deals that will make big impacts. Yo, it's Casey, this is AM Hoops. A long time coming on this video. Have wanted to make it for a while, but we were waiting for the final dominoes to fall. And I think after Lauri Markkanen went to the Cavs, it's safe to say most of the offseason deals are done. But before we start, we have to talk about who doesn't make it. Any old guy that makes a lot of money, okay? Kyle Lowry will be good, but a 35-year-old got $30 million a year. That's not exactly smart. Same goes for Chris Paul. Love him back on the Suns, but he's gonna get about 30 when he's 40 years old. I also didn't include draft picks like Jalen Suggs or Alperen Sengun because, yeah, they were great, but the draft is separate. Let's talk about the best free agent signings. With number 10, the Nets. Blake Griffin for 1 year, $2.6 million. Blake was so good after leaving Detroit. He got his athleticism back. He was an impact player in the postseason. I love also how he accepted a smaller role despite being a star on almost like every other team he's been on. Not many players can humble themselves like that. Getting a starter who is a 6-time All-Star would be higher on this list, but honestly, he's making $29 million next year from his Detroit buyout, so I mean, this was a no-brainer. Number 9, the Lakers getting Malik Monk, 1 year, $1.7, and Kendrick Nunn, 2 years, $10.2. This adds offensive depth and 2 guys who can win LA games if the stars need to rest. Monk and Nunn could have gotten more money and more years elsewhere, but this kind of steal is why the Lakers have an advantage because they're in LA. Speaking of big cities, Brooklyn, the Nets again, Patty Mills, 2 years, $12 million. The ultimate high impact on and off court player. So many people overlook this signing because Patty's been in quiet San Antonio, but he's one of the best locker room guys in the league who's a career 39% from deep. Now, Kyrie can take a mid-season vacation whenever he wants to. Number 7, the Warriors. Otto Porter Jr., 1 year, $2.3 million. If OPJ stays healthy, this could be the number 1 signing. That is such a big if, though, that it slides to number 7. The good news is the Dubs are not taking a bunch of risk because it's a low salary for him. So his 98 total games the last 3 seasons is fine. If he pays off, he's a guy who dropped 12 points a game with good defense, 39% from deep, 6'8" with a 7'1" wingspan. He'll ask to be a role player too, which will increase his effectiveness after being a featured player on the Bulls and Wizards. Number 6, Kemba Walker, 2 years, $17.9 million. He wanted to be a Knick so bad, he gave up $20 million. So New York just has a former All-Star guard fall right in their lap for a cheap price. I know he's injury prone, but point guard was their biggest area of need. So this is a best case scenario. They can hide his bad defense. And even if he's not 100% healthy, the small contract is low risk, high reward. It's another signal, honestly, to me, that the Knicks' old way of doing things is gone. Number 5, Knicks again. Julius Randle, 4 years, $117 million. The most he could have gotten was 5 years, $207 million if he waited till next offseason, so the Knicks saved a ton of money. He's gotten better every year since leaving the Lakers, and his deal was on a discount that locks him in through the rest of his prime. I know Randle disappointed in the playoffs, but they didn't make a mistake of paying him like a number 1, because he's not. This is actually a team-friendly deal for a first-time All-Star who dropped 24 points, 10 boards, and 6 assists last year, entering his prime. Number 4, the Celtics getting Dennis Schroeder, $5.8 million for 1 year. It's hard to get more motivated when a player turns down 4 years, $84 million and blew it. Schroeder is going to have a career year in Boston, and the C's paid almost nothing to get him. I expect Marcus Smart to start now that he got a max extension, but the Celtics lacked depth, and Schroeder is a starter on most teams. His best role is on the ball, driving to the rim, and either scoring or setting up teammates. In his final year in OKC, he was second in the NBA in total assists behind Chris Paul. Dude is worth a lot more than what Boston paid. Number 3, Lonzo Ball. 4 years, $80 million. A total steal for Chicago after the Pelicans let Lonzo go for Kyle Lowry, but then lost him too. Lonzo does so many things for Chicago. He ups their awful defense. He takes away some playmaking from Zach LaVine. He scores well on and off the ball as a catch and shoot threat. He's also on their timeline and improving at 23 years old. Zoe is just the 31st highest paid point guard in terms of average salary. He's right below Fred VanVleet and Gary Harris. The Bulls got a good deal. Number 2, the Spurs. Thaddeus Young, acquired from the Bulls. San Antonio fleeced Chicago, getting multiple picks and Thad Young, while the Bulls overpaid DeRozan. Thad is not going to make the Spurs a title contender, I know, but they were going to lose DeRozan for nothing, and they got a great package instead. Young actually won something called the Hustle Award last year because what he does doesn't fit into a box score all the time. He finished first last year in charges drawn, loose balls recovered, 9th in box outs, 15th in deflections. A smart, scrappy team like the Spurs needs a player like Thad Young. So do the Bulls, and they messed up. But number 1 is the Wizards flipping Russell Westbrook, and they get bonus points for Spencer Dinwiddie. If you would have said that the Wizards will eventually trade John Wall for Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, KCP, and a rookie, I would have called you crazy. Well, that's what Tommy Shepard did by trading Wall for Westbrook and then Russ to the Lakers. Now, DC is too deep at every position. They filled Russ's spot with Spencer Dinwiddie, who is a reliable vet and great in the locker room. I think the Wizards improved more than any team this offseason. Now, we'll see if it's enough to convince Bradley Beal to re-sign again. The 10 smartest and best signings. What about the top 5 worst and dumbest deals this offseason? Actually, this is kind of weird, but number 1 is also in our top 10 smartest because it was so crazy. It was that good for the team and that embarrassing for the player.